around. He sets and throws, and this ball is caught.
What's up? Let's get into this Wisconsin matchup with the Huskers, and want to first give my thoughts on the Maryland game. It's just getting a little more difficult for me to do these videos. Like I said, I work a full-time job and in the accounting area, and it's ramping up the busy time of the year, into the fiscal year, so I just don't have much time anymore to not only record but to actually edit and upload the videos. So this is probably going to be a raw, non-edited video, so please excuse anything that's abnormal. But let's talk a little bit about the Maryland game. And I understand everybody wants to talk about the turnovers, which is a problem, but I want to talk about the positives, because we all know this is a build in progress, a revitalizing a program that at one time was one of the most elite in the country. It didn't just fall off the earth or the college football elite status overnight. And it took some time, few coaches here and there, few athletic directors here and there that kind of made some bad decisions, and here we are sitting right now. I still think somewhere down the road, Scott Frost could end up being a great head coach, could end up coming back to Nebraska, but to go to UCF down there in Florida for a couple of years, and yes, he did great, but then to come to a Power 5 program that was in disarray and needed basically a specialist, that was just asking too much. And if he would have been taking over a program like, say, after Tom Osborne was here and what Frank did, maybe he would have done a lot better. And, you know, even Tom Osborne, when he took over, even though he'd never been head coach, he took over a back-to-back national championship team. And even then, it took him a few years to kind of get it rolling. And he was also in the Big 8, which, let's admit it, take away Oklahoma, maybe Colorado every now and then, there really wasn't much competition there. So let's give the Huskers a little kudos here, a little credit for what they have done. The one thing I want to be impressed is with the defense. And I don't care what anyone says, this defense shined on Saturday. The problem we have is people want to bring up that last drive. Oh, they gave up the big 80-yard drive or whatever for the last field goal. It's true, but when you only give up 13 points, and Nebraska has lost two of them games, I know 13-10, lost another one 20-17. You give up only 13 to 20 points. In college football, you will win that game. You would win that game if you were in the NFL. You should win that game, and not only win that game, win it handily, or at least by a good touchdown or two. So I'm tipping my hat to them for an outstanding play. Are they perfect? No, but there's not a team that's not. The problem is you have other defenses doing the same, and they have mistakes just as well as the Huskers, but it's not magnified by what the offense is doing. Again, the offense put them time and time again in a situation where they had to bail them out. All of the points that Maryland got was off of turnovers. I got to admit, the last one was a big drive, but they were all up turnovers. They even got some turnovers of themselves, took away the ball a couple times, and so to me, that was one of their better games. Going against, to me, one of the better quarterbacks, not only in the Big Ten, but in college football. Tagovailoa is, I'm telling you right now, you're going to see him in the NFL. He's got nothing against J.J. McCarthy and all that, but he's probably the best quarterback you're going to see all year. But to hold that offense to only 13 points, I tip my hat to him. Even the offense didn't do totally bad. The quarterback play, yes, and if you get quarterback play that is not very good, I don't care what the rest of the offense is. It's not going to do anything. Harbaugh, just for some reason, just hasn't looked himself. I know he got hurt, but even before that, he just didn't look himself. Sims actually moved the ball so-so. He did okay to me at times. But again, he's just got that bug in him where I don't know if he's just thinking about it or what, where he just can't help but turn the ball over. And this has been a problem since he was at Georgia Tech, so it's not like something that just popped up. And so my philosophy is we've given him an opportunity, and I love the kid, but I just think it's time to move on. I've always been saying, you've been hearing it in my last few videos, I thought I wanted to give Purdy a shot. I wanted to see what Purdy had. I didn't realize he was still hurt, and maybe that's why he hadn't really had a shot. But I wanted to see what Purdy had, and I know everybody was saying, well, he started 2 or 3 games last year and didn't do so well. Well, you can't go by last year. You can't go by with another coaching staff. Rule and them is known for coaching and getting them up, and I said that in other videos that I wanted to see what has he learned. And you saw a young man that came in with Rule even saying who's had very, very few reps in practice, mainly with the first-string offense, and yet he took the team 90 yards down to the 5-yard line, and on that third at the goal, at the 7, third and goal, ended up throwing the pick, which wasn't all his fault. He's part of the equation, but if you watch that play, you had Kemp didn't run the route correctly. He should have went more towards the back pylon. And then you saw Coleman and who was it, Dawson, whatever that, or maybe it was Bullock that didn't get out of there. They have to make that slant a little quicker to pull them secondary, pull the defenders away from that area. And it didn't happen. Coleman kind of lagged behind, and when Purdy threw the ball, the young man covering Coleman came off of Coleman and picked the ball off. And honestly, I don't know if Purdy was throwing to Kemp or not, because the ball would have been low. Kemp would have had to go down. You could even see him kind of going down to go get the ball when it was picked. And so I kind of wondered, was he throwing it to Coleman? Because Coleman might have been the best answer. He was more open, and as athletic as he is, I guarantee you probably would have found the end zone. If not, it would have been right there where it would have been 4th and goal, probably less than a yard, maybe less than a foot. And believe it or not, I know people would have said, if it would have been that, we need to kick. But the way our defense was playing, I think going for it there, maybe a quarterback sneak or something. I wouldn't want to do a typical handoff just because they're going to go all out on that run. But if it's like 4th and short, I would have hoped they would have went for it there. And if they didn't get it, you would have had Maryland at the goal line to go all the way, and it's going to be a different story. I know the defense gave up that basically 80 yards for the game winner. I just think that last interception just kind of took the wind out of them. I know it took it out of me. And you guys had to feel it too. You saw Purdy come in, took over around the 3 or 4 yard line, drove down the field, and I'm sitting here by the time it got 1st and goal at the 5, I'm over here going, wow, we're going to pull this game out. And you had to feel like I did, like you were going to win this game. And so when he threw that pick, it just took everything out of me, and I kind of wondered if it didn't kind of take a little out of the defense, where they just kind of gave up a couple of plays. They did have their one penalty during that drive on a pass interference that kind of helped them get down there, and the rest is history. But another thing I want to give kudos to, and again, I'm just talking about the good here, is the offensive line. It's not perfect, but it was probably one of their better games. Really, to me, real good run blocking going on. Most of the game, at times they weren't, but if you look at what Maryland and most of the teams are doing and stacking that box, they were also, to me, a lot better in their pass blocking. So I'm hoping that's a sign And so I was kind of impressed overall with the way the offense kind of, mainly around the running game with Emmett Johnson and the offensive line, looked in that game. Little disappointed, well, big disappointment in the quarterbacks. And again, where I was saying all off season, where I thought Casey Thompson was the better quarterback, and I even thought he was going to start Sims, and then boom, he ended up transferring. And I even put out a video where I said, this is going to hurt more than you think. And I think we're seeing that. So doesn't mean it's over with. We want to now get into Wisconsin, who's got their own problems. And again, another team with 5 wins needs another win for a bowl game. So is the Huskers just going to go down the list here, helping these teams reach a bowl game? Don't count Wisconsin out. They had Ohio State on the ropes. It was tied, I think, going into the fourth quarter, 10-10, and ended up losing 24-10. But they also had, before they got their 10 points, they also had it like first and goal at the 1, and ended up only getting a field goal to make it 10. But it could have easily been 14, and so that would have been like 24-14. I mean, it was right there. So this team is, to me, kind of like what you saw with Maryland. Even though they were struggling the last few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, they're not a bad team. The only difference is Wisconsin's same boat's got a new head coach. Looks like there's some disarray there going on. So it's kind of me seeing a program on the verge of coming down, where the Huskers are on the verge going up. Because even though, yes, we've struggled the last 2 or 3 weeks, again, what was everybody expecting this season? Maybe a bowl game, which is still in reach. And I know I was predicting, when I predicted them, I said, hey, they're going to win. I said they were going to win 9 games. I did. But I also said this is 9 games with 4 of them being on the verge that could go either way. And it's going to depend on them penalties and them turnovers that we were seeing even last year. The penalties, I think they've done a great job cleaned up. I think they've had 1 penalty in the last 2 games combined, and no one's talking about it. Why? You don't talk about it when you don't hear the penalty, and that's a good sign. You don't see the offensive line having them false starts and all that. So there's some good there. But the turnovers, to me, they're even worse than they were last year or the last few years. And that's what I said. They could do this. They could win 8 or 9 games. I tell you what, do me a favor. In the comments below, tell me how many wins you think the Huskers would have right now if they did not turn the ball over in these games. If they were even in the turnover margin against these teams, how many wins do you think they'd have? To me, I think there's 3 I know of they would have. I know they wouldn't have Michigan. And I'm right now, they could have, to me, they could have probably have Colorado, but I'm going to go ahead and say no, they wouldn't. So to me, their 2 losses would only be Colorado and Michigan, and they'd be sitting at 8-2 right now, and we all be riding high. And we would be making plans to go to Indianapolis because they'd be on top. Basically would play probably Iowa for the Big Ten Championship or Big Championship West. And it's not impossible still, but I just want them to make a bowl. I just want them to get that 1 more win. And you know, if they had that 1 more win, that 6th win, I wouldn't mind seeing what I've been seeing. I kind of agree with Brian Christopherson. I really believe when Purdy got down there, especially when it got 3rd and goal at the 7, I was happy to say, hey, let's just kick a field goal, go up 13-10, and let the defense do its thing. I understand what Rule's saying, but you wanted to get that 1 more win. We'll go ahead and just get that 6th win, get that bowl appearance, and then if you want to work on things like, well, let's go for the win. Why does go for the win mean you have to go for the touchdown? Kicking a field goal with the defense the way it's playing is going for the win. There's smart play and then there's not. And I just don't see why they had to do that. And I heard Satterfield say that he asked Rule what he wanted to do, and Rule said, hey, go for the win. And so I guess Satterfield took what he took from what he did, and on your third string quarterback and a couple of freshman receivers out there, you're now throwing that play in there that takes some pretty good execution that, when executed right, works perfectly. But do you really want to put that risk on, considering how that game went, considering how that game was going, the turnovers already in the game? Did you really want to do that? They already had, at that point, 3 interceptions and a fumble lost. So to me, going for the win could still be running the ball. Let's see what you got. Quarterback draw, 5 wide receivers. Let's do Purdy up the middle. I don't know. Just line up with the fullback and go right up the middle. You never know. You might have found a hole, made it in the end zone. If it got down there within the 1, then I would have accepted going for it, just because if you didn't get it after that, they would have had to go basically 100 yards to go get it. But if you'd only got a yard or 2, then kick the field goal. You could have ran some more clock, kick the field goal, go up 13-10, let your defense win that game. So I think that's probably, to me, what they should have done. I believe, and I agree with Brian Christopherson, that's what I was thinking at the time, and I wish kind of Rule did it. I do trust in Rule, let him do his thing. He's not perfect. None of us are. We kind of already see that with the quarterbacks, because he definitely made the wrong decision when it came to Casey Thompson. And I could probably kick myself, even though I had nothing to do with it. But I don't know how many times you guys have said over and over again, man, where would we be with Casey Thompson? Because if we had Casey Thompson, I don't think we would still beat Michigan, but it would have been, to me, closer. And I think we would have won the rest of them. I think we'd be sitting at 9-1 right now. But that's my opinion. It's hindsight's 2020. It's easy to play, backseat quarterback, and when I'm not the one making the decision, and after the fact. If they would have scored that touchdown there, we would have just been raving and ruling what a call. So it is what it is. So what are we going to expect against Wisconsin, who's now kind of falling apart? They just lost 24-10 to Northwestern. Northwestern's got, 10 first downs in a row right off the bat. This team's hurting. They're definitely not the same defensive team they've been over the years. And they're struggling offensively without Allen. Allen's hurt, and I surely hope I hope he's not healthy for this game. I know that's bad to say. Please forgive me for saying it. But I think it's not going to be an easy game, especially up there in Madison. It's going to go down the wire. I got a feeling on this game right here, I just, for some reason, a gut feeling that Nebraska gets it done this game, because they know they're running out of time. And trust me, I was going to be a lot tougher contest. I think they win it this weekend against Wisconsin, and I'm going to go and say 14-13. And yes, to me, it's going to be that close. If Nebraska could get 14-16, 14-17 points, I think they win this game. If for some reason the defense kind of struggles a little bit and Wisconsin finds a rhythm and gets probably 17 points or more, 17, 20 points or more, this game's probably over, because Nebraska doesn't have offense. I do think Purdy will play in this game, but a gut feeling tells me you're probably going to see Jeff Sims start this game with a quick trigger with Purdy, because just because Purdy is not 100%, Jeff Sims is. Jeff Sims can move the ball. He's more physical, if that's what they want to do, but he's got to play smarter. But I do think you're going to see Purdy as well. And maybe they'll play him a little of both and then go with the hot hand, because, yes, Purdy did decent in that one drive, but it was one drive, and 2, Maryland didn't prepare for Purdy. I guarantee you Wisconsin's preparing for Purdy. They have film on him from last year, and so don't expect it to be as easy, and like I said, it depends really how healthy he is. But I do just got this gut feeling. Wouldn't be surprised the defense picks them up and does it a little more on their own, which basically they've been doing anyway, and pulls this game out 14-13. So let's hope and pray that's how it ends up. I'd take a half a point win. I don't care what it is. I just want to win. And so thanks everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to help me out. I'd really appreciate it. And again, I apologize for this non-edited video. So until the next video, guys, go Big Red.